Hey everyone, it's Carter King. If you're an educator, a leader, or just a parent who wants to teach kids about space, check out my newest book, Carter's Journey Through Space. It's available now on Amazon, Target, and bookstores everywhere. Come explore the universe with me.
Welcome to another episode of the Contagious Culture Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle King, and the goal of this podcast is simple: to help you create environments where people thrive. Through real conversations, practical strategies, and powerful stories, we equip leaders, educators, and change makers just like yourself to build cultures rooted in purpose, performance, and authenticity. Because culture isn't something you talk about, it's something you live. This is the Contagious Culture Podcast. Let's get started. We are here. It's so good to see you. I need my energy partner over there.
Of course.
Look, can you just introduce yourself and just tell me what has you excited today? Let's start there.
Okay. So I'm Summer Saunders Castle. I'm the Campaign and Donor Relations Manager for the United Way of Gaston County. I'm excited today just to be a part of this. This is such a wonderful opportunity, and I've never done anything like it. It's my first podcast. So I'm really excited about it. Thankful for Kyle for asking me to be on. And yeah, that's why I'm excited.
Oh, I appreciate you so much, Summer, for even being here. Let me just say this. You're killing it. You are killing it. No, really, you are killing it. And you embody the integrity, the heart, the character in your role. And I think that there's so many people out here that want to get into this space of managing relationships, developing and cultivating relationships, especially in the nonprofit and fundraising realm. What do you believe is the first action you take when identifying someone as a potential long-term partner for an organization?
Yeah. Before I answer that, can I just share? I've always been a people person. When people say like, "Oh, she never met a stranger," like that's me,
Yeah.
and I think I get that from my mother because same thing with her. She's never met a stranger as well. So for me, like this has come easy. But for those who are thinking of getting into this space, it is something that you can learn. If you're an introvert, it might take a little bit more learning. If you're an extrovert, go for it. You can totally do it. But it's really about people. And I would say the first action point is you need to see what people's passions are, like what gets them up in the morning, where their heart is, and if that aligns with your mission. If you're doing work that is, I'm sure, wonderful work, but it just doesn't align with people's passions, then they might not be drawn to give to your organization, and that's okay. And then I would say the next action item, which I hope I don't steal your next question, but I would say you got to build trust with people, especially when you're dealing with folks' money. You've got to build trust, and you've got to let them know that whatever they are giving to your organization is you're putting your money where your mouth is. So it's actually doing the great work that is instilled in your mission. But yeah, I say the first thing is just having some conversations with folks and figuring out what's their passions and does it align with your mission.
That's good. Let me ask you this. What got you into this work, Summer? Like what's the story that led you to doing what you do now? Because you do it so well. And I love how you even preface that, hey, I was always a people person. Like, but what got you into the work that you're doing today?
So always growing up, I was like, I'm going to be a teacher. I'm going to be a teacher. So I went to Queen's University of Charlotte and got my education, got my degree in education, and I did become a teacher. I was actually a North Carolina teaching fellow. So I made a commitment to the state and myself that I was going to teach my 4 years to fulfill that commitment. So after year 4, I was like, I don't know. I might want to look at something different, whether that be a different school, a different district. maybe a charter or something. So I started kind of looking, and one of my favorite professors, I hope she's on right now, but Dr. Amy Thornburg, she knew I was looking because I used her as a reference. And she still worked at Queens, and she was like, do you want to do something completely different but still in education? And I was like, yes, absolutely. So a position opened up in the Cato School of Education where I did graduate school admission and advising. And then, a long story short, I got tired of driving to Charlotte. I know people love their commutes. It wasn't really for me. And so I was in need of another change. And a good friend reached out about this opportunity. And I was like, I've never done fundraising. And she was like, of course you have. There was some civic community groups that I was a part of. And she was like, but at the end of the day, like, people, you're able to speak to people, and you love Gaston County. So real cheesy, but in my cover letter, I put that I was kind of like a Gaston County cheerleader because I love where I live. I love the community that we serve. And so, yeah, that's how I landed here. And my first day, my boss said, everything's going to be fast, flexible, but fun. And truly, I had an event my second day on the job. It was a fundraising event my second day on the job. And so she wasn't lying. And honestly, it's continued that way. It's been fast. We've built the plane as we've flown it. So I've had to be flexible. I've had to give myself a little bit of grace. And it's been a lot of fun. So yeah, that's kind of my backstory on how I got here. So.
No, I appreciate you sharing that. And, it reminds me of what got me into the fundraising space. It was a relationship and a connection that I had that kind of just bridged the gap. And now I'm continuing to do it for organizations. There was a moment, though, that I realized that this was it. It was a moment where a donor of ours, we partnered with him, and he gave computers to a group of students. And I could literally still see the tears in those mothers' faces when we got their students brand new computers. And it made me realize that rather than being the guy in schools directly that was going to make the transformation, I wanted to be the guy that could get the resources for schools so that then you better provide or better allow these schools to have the capacity to make these types of transformations.
Right.
Summer, what was that moment for you, though? What was that moment or that memory or that acknowledgement that you received that you knew that this was the work that you love to do?
I love that question. So we help senior citizens. Our board decided a couple years ago that the United Way of Gaston County we support, sorry, this is a long tangent, but it all makes sense. We support 5 crisis agencies. And what our board found was, we were serving families, they were serving families. It was kind of like duplicates. And so they brought to the table, why don't we serve senior citizens? Nobody's really doing that at Christmas time. And so they decided to come up with a program, Senior Christmas Wishes. And basically, seniors in Gaston County, they fill in an application, 60 and older, and it's a want, a need, and a read. And honestly, seniors are putting on there, they want toilet paper, they want paper towels. And so that was eye-opening for me. My first year on the job, I started in December, and so it was Christmas Wishes time. So after that event that I told you my second day, I was kind of put into that, and I was so grateful for it. But my story, my why, the seniors come pick up the gifts. And that particular year, when they picked up their gifts, they also got a food line box. So a senior comes in, she's getting her gift, and we give her the gift. And someone ran and got the food line box to give her that box. And she just burst into tears. And we're like, oh, like, are you okay? Like, is everything okay? Did you not want the food? We were just not really sure. And she said, I didn't have it, but I felt I needed to buy one of those boxes at Food Line for somebody. And now you're giving me one. And she was like, it's just a full circle moment. And I'm just so blessed. And I will never forget that day. Still remember her name. She still comes. She still does an application. She still comes. And at that moment, I was like, there are parts of teaching that I miss, but I'm right where I need to be.
Yeah.
And it was there, and then since then, all along the way, there's just been little moments like that. And it's like, yeah, it's just that warm, fuzzy feeling and those little notes. I'm religious and spiritual, so it's God moments for me.
Of course.
And yeah. So that was mine.
It's interesting that you say that, because I think that a lot of times we focus so much on being mission driven that we don't take time to consider these moments that continue to keep us motivated and encouraged, and we keep with us in our hearts when things get challenging. How do you balance your own values and mission alignment when evaluating potential partners and opportunities to build relationships?
That was a strong question, Kyle. I think everything that I do, it's on the glory of God because He put me in this position. I know not all folks think that way, but at the end of the day, our mission at United Way is to unite our community to help and care for one another. And at the end of the day, that's what we do. That's the mission that we live out. That's what we're fundraising for. And so it doesn't matter. We have folks come to our door from all walks of life, and it doesn't matter what you believe, what you look like. If you need help, we're going to be able to help you. That's just the way that we are at the United Way. And I think our donors know that. They know that it's not political. It's not about religion. It's at the end of the day, it's about helping people and making Gaston County better than it is today. The next day. Yeah. So I think that's it. I mean, what fills my cup, may be different from others, but I think that's my drive, is my relationship with Christ. And I know He put me in this position, but at the end of the day, we're helping people, and it doesn't matter what their backstory is. We're here to help. That's what the United Way is for. It's what it was founded on, and that's what we're going to keep doing.
Summer, I appreciate you so much. I have literally chills over here talking to you because I really feel your spirit. Being a Christian man, I think it's important when we're having these conversations and being unapologetic with our faith and how important that is. And I love what you said about it's about helping people.
Yeah.
It's not really too much to it. Whatever you need, we will find a way to be able to take care of it. And I think it reminds me of my own life and how many people have stepped in and helped me and guided me and lifted me and affirmed me, or even held me accountable to being the best that I can be, or ensuring that I'm aligned with the mission and vision, and even with some God standards for my life as well. I guess the question that I have for you is, who was your person though? Like, who was that person that either pushed you towards purpose, that held you accountable to continue to keep going, or that provided an option or an opportunity for you to be able to explore your gift even more?
Well, back to that professor, Dr. Amy Thornburg. It's her. I will never forget. They had started an organization where we were doing a conference in Florida, and it was for educators, principals, teachers, higher ed. I mean, it was for all types of folks. Yeah. And she was like, "We're going to do some research and do a presentation." And I was like, "No, I'm not. I don't have a PhD. No." And she was like, "Yes, you are." At that point, I hadn't even started my master's. And I was like, "I'm not qualified." And she was like, "Yes, you are." And anyway, I will never forget that, presenting our research in front of people. And I would have never done it on my own. But honestly, Kyle, and this isn't just to like blow smoke up you, but you're that person for me right now too. When you sent me this invite, I was like, I'm not. And then I read all these people's bios. I'm like, I'm not qualified to be in this seat. And so you've pushed me as well. So thank you for that. You will forever be one of my people as well. So thank you for that. But no, it was definitely her. And then there's definitely been people along the way as well. I think back to teachers in high school, elementary school, that just instilled in me, like, you got this, and then I'll say it again, I have wonderful parents and family who support me, a wonderful husband. I hope they're all on. So if they are, hello, everyone. But yeah, it just is, I've been blessed. I've been truly blessed with people around me and in my corner. And I, appreciate all of them.
I appreciate you saying that. And I think, I dislike when people say like I'm in the people business, because regardless of what business you're in, like I don't know any businesses that don't have people.
Right.
Like not one business doesn't have any at all.
Exactly.
And I think about the work that we're doing. It's so important to consider people and be unselfish in our own desires and our own wants, so that we can really be able to consider the needs and desires of other people, so that we can focus on creating programs or partnerships to help those types of individuals.
Right.
Can you share a message though to your younger self? If you could give your younger self one piece of advice about building meaningful partnerships and relationships, what would it be? Because I believe that relationships are the highest form of currency in anything,
Mm-hmm.
personally and professionally.
Mm-hmm.
What would that advice be to your younger self?
This was in one of my prep notes, but someone told me this, and I don't even remember who. And then I've had other people that have told me as well, but people do not forget how you make them feel. Whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, they don't forget that.
Mm.
And I think that was like a huge thing for me with in this role and with building relationships. You have to remember that. And if it's a bad first interaction, that doesn't mean that you've lost the account. You just keep fostering that and massaging that, and it might turn around. But if you go in with your first interaction and you leave a good mark, people will remember that and they won't forget that. But I also would tell myself that 9 times out of 10, you're not going to get a yes the first time, and it's okay. Like I am a perfectionist. I always have been. Along with being a people person, I'm a people pleaser. Like I don't like when people are upset or mad with me. So like getting a no, it has been hard, but it's okay. It's not a closed door. What I would tell myself, and what I still tell myself, is it's not a hard no. It's probably more of a no, not right now. And I'm going to make it a priority to keep on until we turn it into a yes.
Let me ask you this though, because that is I think the challenge that a lot of us have is that not right now, maybe not yet, but continuing to be motivated, continuing to work through the process, continuing to stay engaged, because we have that faith and that belief that what they can give, whether it's time, talent, treasure, it can benefit the organization or that person more intentionally.
Right.
What would be your recommendation and advice for those individuals that aren't getting the yes initially, but they lose that fire and then they just stop engaging?
Yeah, and I'll say too, like for me, I don't like to bombard people. So like I'm not one of those people that's gonna email every single week, because I don't like that. So why would I do that to my people? I think you have to get creative with some different avenues. So like maybe you had a meeting with them about making a pledge or making a donation, and it didn't go as you thought. Then maybe your next avenue is to invite them to your next upcoming event. Or maybe your next avenue is like for us, we support 21 nonprofit agency programs. So like something I might do is if I go in to meet with a company to see if they would do a workplace campaign and give to us, and they're like, no, not this moment. Well, then I might think, okay, are there services that they have that might benefit our agencies? And could I invite them to come in as an agency speaker?
That's good.
And if that doesn't work, then maybe I say, okay, well, we have Day of Caring. Could they give up their time? Maybe they can't give money. Maybe they'll give their time. So for me, we have to get creative and find different ways, different avenues. If you send an email, you don't get anywhere with an email. Something else that someone told me, and I don't remember who it was, but you have to find their gatekeeper. So like find out who their secretary is, and ways that you can go about that. If they've gotten crafty and they don't have their employees on their website, ways that you can go about that is start going to events. Like I highly recommend, if you're not a part of like a local chamber, or ours is called the Gas and Business Association, if you're not a part of those groups, those business groups, and then other like networking groups and things like that, do it, because that might be your avenue avenue where you could find their gatekeeper, and then reach out to that person and say, could I arrange coffee with this person? And then you prepare and you get ready and you just kill that meeting. And like I said, if it's a good first interaction, they will remember that, and they'll more likely be like, yes, we can do the workplace campaign, or yes, we'll give you a corporate gift, or yes, we'll send volunteers. I think for us, what's been really helpful is our day of caring, because we've gotten people that participated in that. They've gone out to our partner agencies to do projects. They're boots on the ground. They're seeing the work that they're doing in real time. And that made them go, okay, like this is legit. I think we will get behind it. So I guess the not yet period, find another avenue to go about it. You don't always just have to send emails and do phone calls. You can send invitations and things of that nature.
It's interesting that I like what you just said, the not yet period.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to me because I believe that every single person tuning in, whether you're watching the live or going to be watching the recording, is in a not yet period.
Sure.
If you're trying to, let's say, lose some pounds before the end of the end of the year, you may not be there. So it's a not yet period. If you're trying to improve relationship, you're not there yet. So that's a not yet period. And the same things that you do in trying to get fit, and you're staying engaged, you're going to the gym, you're staying consistent. It's the same behaviors and actions when you're engaging with a donor. Just stay consistent, stay engaged. I want to ask a technical question.
Okay.
How do you design your first interactions so that you can move someone from interested and aware to engaged and invested?
Yeah. Like I said a few minutes ago, being prepared for that first meeting. And I think too, if you can pull in some personal tie, that gets you like that extra level. So like if you are able to find them online and you see that they just had a grandbaby, or they like the Tar Heels, or they don't like the Tar Heels, they like the other blue team. Yeah. You know what I mean? No, I'm a Carolina fan through and through, not a Duke fan. But anyway, if you can find that little piece of personal to where you can go in with that, and like don't off the bat start with that, but find a way to bring that up in conversation, that's going to be like really good first impression. And then from there, I always like to, with meetings, follow up with an email. If it was like a really good meeting, you could follow up with a thank you card. And then again, just from there, if you've got something coming up, an event, maybe send them the other blue team, maybe send them an invitation to your event, or if you think that they might sponsor the event, maybe send them the sponsorship levels. That's something you could bring up at your meeting as well. Or if you have volunteer opportunities, but some sort of follow-up along the way. And then, give it a few days, see, and then maybe you do a phone call. And then definitely, like if you do a newsletter or something like that, make sure you add their email to that. So if you're sending that information, they're getting it personally from you, but also from your organization's networks. And then if you can send them a social media invite from your organization's page, any little touch points that you can do along the way, I think goes a long way. So, yeah.
How many touch points do you think it takes for someone to, if someone's not engaged, if someone's not responding, if someone's not showing up, how many touch points do you believe that it takes for you to say, hey, this may not be a good fit? What we call it in our work is like a bless and release email.
Yeah.
When do you start seeing that, hey, we need to maybe pivot?
That's a good question. I mean, we keep people on our list until they're like, okay, unsubscribe.
Yeah.
But, and I mean, I think too, sometimes like, you just let things rest. Like, I know my boss and I, like, we'll have prospects, and then if we're not getting anywhere, maybe like 4 or 5 interactions, we're not getting anywhere, they're not coming to events, they're not sponsoring, they're not sending volunteers, we might just kind of let that sit and then reconvene later down the road and maybe try again. Sometimes people just need a little break, and maybe it was too much at first, and so maybe they were just like, okay, too much, or maybe it wasn't a good time for them, maybe they didn't really have the funds to give. They would love to, they didn't have to have the funds to give, but they didn't know how to say that. So you just pause that for a little bit and then come back to it down the road. Like, we do that all the time, like there's some that might be on the list that get moved to green. There might be some that are yellow, then we end up moving to red and then move them to yellow again the next year. You know what I mean? So I don't know an exact hard number. It just, when I feel like, okay, I don't think we're getting anywhere, we're gonna have to move on to someone else, that's just kind of when we put them on pause for a little bit.
What are some of the, I guess, early signs, though, that a partnership may not be sustainable for the organization, whether it's values, whether it's capacity, whatever it would be? And how do you address those specific warning signs as well?
Yeah. I think, like, if they're just, again, like, no response, no participation, and it's their values might have changed, their interests, their passions might have changed, and that's okay as well. We still want them to know what we're doing and talk of the good work. So again, we're still going to keep them on our list, and we hope that they'll still follow us. But as far as like addressing it, I've never had to do that. I don't want to say you just kind of move on, but I feel like you just kind of move on. You know what I mean? Like, but I've never personally had to address if it just felt like it was not working out anymore. I've never had to address that.
When you've worked with a lot of leaders, and anybody tuning in has worked with probably a multitude of leaders, whether it's in your current position, whether it's in, the jobs that we've had in high school, whatever the case may be. In your experience, what leadership behaviors most influence whether people or prospects believe in your cause or not?
What leadership? Say it again.
Yeah, like, what are the leadership behaviors that you feel are most important for people when we're trying to get people to believe in our causes?
Again, I think it just goes back to like their passions and their heart. Like, what is it that drives them? And that can be hard for leaders sometimes, because sometimes leaders feel like they're at the top of the chain, like they can't get into the personal with people. It's all business, no fun, no passion. And so I think sometimes that's hard. But at the end of the day, you go home to hopefully families and friends, and what is it that drives you, and your passions and the things that you love. Everyone loves something, even if it's your to that. Everybody's alma mater is needing funds as well. So I think it's just sometimes I think it is hard for leaders at the very, very top that are making, especially if it's like corporate gifts and stuff, they're making those decisions, if they're going to write the check, if they're going to give a pledge. And so it's hard for them to kind of be the more personal, on the personal side with you. And that's where you got to try to get them, is their personal side, not their business side. Of course, you want their business side because they are going to write the check, we hope, but try to get them in their personal side. And I think that's where that comes in. You trying to do a little bit of research to see, do they have a family? Do they, where did they go to school? Are they still, was it a good experience? Was it a not good experience? So I think that's where the homework piece comes in for us. The little back piece, and having those little nuggets in your head when you go to those meetings. I'll say here at the United Way, we are blessed. We still have what are called workplace campaigns. So we go into companies, and we have someone that's identified as an employee campaign coordinator. Those are the folks that I work with personally. And then what they'll do is they will plan the campaign. They get the pledge cards out to folks. But the leaders are allowing them to do that, and we're very thankful that they are. But something that I'll just share is the workers in those facilities, for example, like manufacturing plants, those folks, we love that we are able to still do workplace campaigns. And I say blessed because we
Yeah.
are, but those folks, they might give $1 a paycheck, and we are thrilled with that. But to them, that gives them that way to give back.
Mm.
And for some organizations, they can't just do $1 a paycheck. So we are blessed that we're able to do workplace campaigns, and that that folks are able to do payroll deductions. But that's giving folks that are doing those hard jobs that are necessary, that we need, that are a necessity. That's what I was trying to say. And they're able to give back. And like we even have, going back to leadership, we even have had some companies where their leadership's just not really on board with us yet, and we haven't been able to go in. But those employees are like, no, we still want to give. Like, we still want to do our pledge. We still want to give. So there are cheerleaders, per se, that are the boots on the ground. So sorry, that was a lot. That was a ramble, but I just wanted to share that too, that sometimes it's not even just the leadership. Sometimes it's your workers that have hearts too and want to be able to give and contribute as well.
Let me ask you this question, Summer. What do you love most about your role? Like, what's the thing about your role that just gets you up every morning and just excited and energized?
I get joy knowing that people are giving to something that brings them joy. So the folks that are in manufacturing plants that are giving that dollar, to them, they're giving back to their community. And that dollar is huge. For some people, that is huge, to give $1 out of their paycheck. And I will share another little story too. We had an employee who works at one of our companies that does a workplace campaigns. She had fallen on some hard times. She had a child that passed away. She was raising her grandchildren. So her child's that passed away's children. And she was like, I need help with Christmas. I know we partner with United Way for the giving campaigns, and I thought I would reach out. My HR director, who's my employee campaign coordinator, she reached out to me, and anyway, I'm like, oh my gosh, we don't really do families. Let me see what I can do. And I mean, it was like a couple days later, we had another one of our partners call saying, we didn't know who to call, but we want to sponsor a family at Christmas. And I'm like, thank you, Jesus. Like it all worked out. And so we were able to help her for Christmas. Well, as all this is going on, that company kicked off their campaign, and she decided to pledge $5 a paycheck. And she told me, I don't have it to give, but I'm giving it because y'all helped me when I needed the most. And I just felt I need to give back. And so for me, like those full circle moments and that brought her joy. That brought her so much joy that she was doing that. That's what gets me up. That's what brings me joy. And that's why I love what I do.
Let me ask you this question. For somebody that doesn't always feel fulfilled in the work, how do they keep that same momentum? And I guess to expound on that, like, is there a method or practice that you rely on to stay grounded and keep showing up with that same heart?
Yeah. I feel like just with everybody, same with me, you have good days and bad days. And it always just works out that there's something like that story I just told you that happens for me. But I'm looking at it right now. This mug says life is tough, but so are you. And I've never drank coffee out of it. I found it one day and I bought it and I set it right here. And that's just when I'm having a bad day, I look at that and it's like, life's tough, but so are you. And I'm also reminded that the people that we serve and that we help have way greater needs and things going on than I do. And I'm truly blessed. And so that's kind of what helps me turn it around. So I guess for someone, if they're going through a spell where they aren't feeling fulfilled, there may be more bad days than good, just remember why you're there, remember who you're serving, and remember that one, there's better days ahead, but two, quite possibly there might be someone out there that's struggling far more than you are. And just remember your blessings and be as positive as you can be.
That's good.
If there's days where I have, just woke up and like not feeling it. My thing is, I love music. So my thing is, I just try to turn on some good music, whatever I'm feeling that day. And that tries to help me turn things around. I will say too, like, find your person on your team. If you're struggling, find that one person that can turn your frown upside down and confide in that person. So I'll say that too. You can't do anything alone, especially in this job. And I am so thankful for all the folks that work here at United Way, because it's not Summer's United Way. Summer could not do any of this work. And so just rallying around, it's okay to have a bad day. It's okay to not be feeling it, but just realize life's tough. So are you, and turn it around the next day.
I love that, Summer. I really do. And, I'm thinking about all that you're sharing, and I'm thinking about all that you've already shared. And it gets me to a point. Hey, it's Kyle. Sorry to interrupt your programming, but I got a quick culture check for you. How's your team's energy right now? I mean, literally, right now. Are people feeling inspired? Or are they just showing up? See, here's the truth. Culture doesn't change because we talk about it. It changes because we live it actively every single day. And that's what I help organizations do. Build contagious cultures that people actually want to be a part of. Through keynote talks, interactive trainings, and hands-on consulting, I help leaders transform the way their teams connect, perform, and grow. So if your culture needs a little bit of spark, let's light it up together. Visit theculturelab.org, again, theculturelab.org, or connect with me directly on LinkedIn at Kyle S. King to learn more about how we can work together. Because remember, your culture is contagious. Make it worth catching. Now let's get back to the program. There's somebody out there doing work that is truly transforming lives.
Mm-hmm.
There's other people out there that are still doing the work, but they're not necessarily seeing on a day-to-day basis the impact of their work, but they're still doing it.
Sure.
Can you talk to that person, and even if they're not seeing the direct transformation of their people, why it's important to continue to just show up?
Well, you just have to think, if you weren't showing up, then what would happen? Like, if I was not here, of course, I'm sure they would find someone else. But if I was not here and fundraising wasn't going on, then what would happen to our agencies? And then what would happen to the folks who are benefiting from the services that our agencies provide? So if they're not seeing that, well, one, find a way to go see it. Like,
That's
whatever
good.
you can do to get to go into, whether it's a classroom or whatever it is, find a way to go and see it. And I think that'll fill your cup as well, because then you can see it in real time. Something else too, storytelling's huge. It's huge in this industry. And we all can do a better job at telling our story. And maybe that's what that person needs to do. If they're kind of on that end where they're not seeing it, go talk to some folks who can help you tell some stories. If they're going to do a video, you go and shoot the video so you can see and you can hear. But yeah, I think those people just have to realize, like, what if I wasn't here?
Of
You know
course.
what I mean? Like, what would it still be? Would it still carry on? Would those folks still be getting served if I wasn't doing the job that I'm doing? And then just find a way to go and see and hear what's going on.
Summer, being in this work, as long as you've been in this work, looking back, what's one lesson about either trust, patience, persistence, and partnership building that's reshaped, I guess, the way that you approach every relationship today?
I think when you deal with money, trust is a big one. And so you have to make people feel that their dollars are going where you say they're going to go. And I think that's where the storytelling piece comes in. And that's where we've been trying to do a better job at really utilizing our social media platforms. to tell some of those stories. But I think it's huge with partnerships.
Mhm.
And then I also think you said about being persistent. You have to be persistent, and sometimes it's exhausting, like the community events and the things that we go to.
Yeah.
And sometimes, after working a full day, I'm like, gosh, I don't really want to go to that. My boss will say the same thing, but we always have to think, you know, there's a reason though. There's a reason that we're going. It's either for visibility for us, or there might be that person there that we haven't seen in a while or haven't been able to engage with in a while. So it's like, just be persistent and show up. Even when you're exhausted, do it. It will pay off in the end.
Exactly. I love that. And what is one single mindset shift that you've had to make in this work that's allowed you to really be more intentional in the relationships that you build?
Mm-hmm. Um, I think I'm going to go back to that. You're going to get no's. You're going to get some no's, and it's not always going to be perfect. There's going to be times when you're going to have to pivot. And that's okay. That's okay. And again, back to the persistence, you just being persistent, pushing through. And then I do think in these roles, you do have to be out in the community. You do have to, show your face per se, and speak highly of your organization and have some confidence in there. Don't be afraid to share what you're doing, and or if you had a sellout event, don't be afraid to say that. I know sometimes I'm like, oh, we sold out. Like, no, be confident. We sold our event out, and we're really looking forward to seeing the result. Or if you have the result, you raised X amount of dollars, share that. Don't be afraid. So I think that's probably some takeaways.
What's next for you, Summer? Like if you were to look forward, if you were to look forward the next 3 to 4 years from now, what's next for you?
That's a very good question. I don't know. I'll be completely honest. I got married in April, and my husband and
Congrats.
I, thank you so much. My husband and I, we would like to start a family. So I hope and pray that I'll be blessed with a little baby at some point in the near future. And I will be excited to explore the mama role. But other than that, I don't know. I'm doing great things here. The United Way is doing great things. And I mean, you did talk about a leadership conference in 26,
Let's
so
do it.
maybe I'll be there. I don't know.
I love it. What is your one piece of advice? People listening in that want to either get into this field or they are struggling staying in this field.
Mhm.
What's your one piece of advice to keep them motivated, energized, and just continue to push this work forward?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go back to my mug. Life is tough. This work is tough, but so are you. You can do it. Keep going, keep doing it. Find ways to um, get involved, hear the stories with the work that you're doing to ignite that flame if you are starting to feel a little burnout. And then, you know what? If you get to the point where it's not filling your cup up, nothing you're doing's helping, then maybe it is time to look for another venture, and that's okay too. I saw something on LinkedIn about it was, us young folks are not staying put for long, and they were like, instead of being angry and upset about that, let's celebrate that those folks are growing and moving into different roles. So I think that's the biggest thing. This work is tough. It's not easy, but just keep going, and you got it, and it will all pay off in the end.
I love that. I love that. Where can people find you, Summer? Like, how can people continue to support as well?
Yeah, so our website is unitedwaygaston.org. Personally, I'm Summer Saunders Castle on LinkedIn. And I have Instagram and Facebook as well. Also, Summer Saunders Castle. So, yeah, would love for people to connect. And on our the United Way also has Facebook and Instagram, United Way Gaston. If you want to look us up on there and see all the good things that we're doing, can I give a little plug?
Of course, please.
Okay, so we have two signature fundraising events. One is Jingle Bell Gents. It is called Jingle Bell Gents, but women are welcome. And we actually just hot off the press. I'll grab it. Got our invitations today, and it is at the Gastonia Conference Center. December the 2nd, Rod Smith is going to be our speaker, and it's a time of merriment and holiday fun. We have a chorus from one of the schools in Gas County Schools that comes sing, good, yummy lunch, and we ask for folks to make a pledge to support our 21 agency programs. And then the second one, which is I shouldn't have favorites, but I will say on the podcast, I have a favorite. It's our ladies event, but also gentlemen are welcome as well. It's called Purse Power, and it will be March the 26th in 2026. And what Purse Power is we raise money for Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, where we support that for children in Gaston County. We have purse raffles, and last year we had a Dolly impersonator. So loads of fun. So folks, put those on your calendars. If you forget, don't worry. It's on our social media. So if you follow us, you can find those there.
Summer, I appreciate you so much. And
I appreciate you.
We will definitely be connecting in person very soon because we're right here in the same backyard. I just want to thank you for your wisdom, for your heart, for your stories. You've shown that building these partnerships, building these long-term relationships have nothing to do with transaction. Right. It's about trust. It's about alignment. It's about that genuine human connection. And to everyone listening, take one relationship that you're nurturing right now, and I want you to think about how you can deepen trust, how you can share your mission, how you can approach it with more patience and purpose, because relationships, partnerships aren't just built in a day. They're built through consistency, through care, and shared belief in a cause. Yeah. So thank you so much, Summer. Yes. We will be in touch soon. Perfect. And if you are new to the Podcastathon 2025, we've been rolling, and we have a special guest that's coming on. Look, I don't know if it's a technical mistake or my mistake. I don't know what it is, but look, we don't make mistakes. We turn everything into lessons, and then we're going to create the moment. So my girl Aneesah has been in the back for 47 minutes on a completely different link, and that is completely my mistake. And I just want to say that I appreciate you for your grace, for your patience, as we brought you on. And she is the CEO of Creative Capital Collective. Did I get that right?
Creative Collective Capital.
Oh my gosh. Creative Collective Capital. Absolutely. And she's doing some phenomenal work, and she's just going to bless us with her presence, give us a word. I want you to start with who you are, what you do, and can you give us 3 or 4 nuggets so that we can do it more effectively?
Well, I mean, your last guest, Summer, was that her name?
Yes.
Yes. She held the gold. She held the bag of gold. That is what it all is about, like almost everything she said. So I don't know what I can add on top of there, but but me, I'm Aneesah Bray. I am 30 years in the music business, and moved on into legislation, film, and all things entertainment, royalty, investing, so on and so forth. So that's what I do now. I help investors learn how to become executive producers confidently.
What does that look like? What does that mean when you talk about that work?
So investors are people too. So they want to, entertainment has always been seen as something that's just kind of this blurry, foggy, out there thing. And so because of that, I had an experience where one of my friends spent $500,000 where he meant to spend $300,000.
Oh,
and he thought that was an all-in situation. And so that after years of financial literacy for creatives and really being on the creative in education side, I realized that the investors need to be educated as well. So that was kind of the catapult of Creative Collective Capital and Sound and Screen Finance, because I still have a heart for so many people um, in the filmmaking space. So I have been figuring out how to make this connection without really bombarding the investors, because you do have like a million filmmakers to one investor. And so as I am speaking and building relationships with investors, my whole point is to actually educate them. So I have lunches that I have bring them to where they can network with one another. And then September, at the end of the year, they have one big educational day. So that's from 9 a.m., well, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. They're there learning from other executive producers and so on, like those that are in lawyers and CPAs and so on and so forth.
You know, I wanted to bring Summer back up for one reason, because Summer is literally full of energy and she's an expert in being able to cultivate relationships, ask critical questions, but then being able to have someone dive deeper. And I want Summer to put you on the spot really quickly, because I would love in real time if all of the things that you talked about, you could implement. So rather than me being the one to ask all the questions and do all those different things, could you show us what a donor engagement in that initial relationship and interaction would look like, and then be able to create that dialogue between you and Aneesah? And I think that would be amazing.
Wow.
You just threw us out there. You guys figure it out.
Okay. Well, Aneesah, so nice to meet you.
You
Share me a
too.
little bit about your background.
So I started on tour production for in the music industry.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my beginning. Worked very hard, moved here to Atlanta and became a personal manager for an artist. Did that all the way up until I would say 2011. And then decided that through experience, I feel like uh, creatives need to learn financial literacy.
Yep.
So I took a deep dive into financial literacy, and that's when I started getting sponsors. Because I was like, I went to all the banks and the CPA firms and the law firms, and can you guys come and teach?
Right.
And so they gladly did it. They gave of their time. And so that was the initial sponsorships. Meanwhile, I'm also getting sponsorships for tours. So I've worked with Yahoo Finance, Pepsi Entertainment, Enterprise. I worked with those companies because I was still getting sponsors for
Sure.
tours.
Sure.
And then I said, well, let me see how I can kind of catapult this over into that. And then bam, I got I met with one of my friends. He was already a friend of mine, and he told me that he lost this money. So I was like, okay, I see you guys need education too. So that's when I just started Sound and Screen portion as a project to educate the investors and how they invest in entertainment.
Wow.
So that's where
So
I'm at now.
So that was some big names that you shared. So, like with me, I was sharing about you have to get to the gatekeeper, like the execs, either their secretary, personal assistant,
Mhm.
whatever, to get in those meetings. So, like, how did you navigate that to even just get a meeting to be able to speak to those folks at those pretty large companies?
So for me, it is other people either
Mhm.
giving it to me, or now. I mean, now it's so simple. LinkedIn, I just jump on in. I reach to the CEO level. I usually tell him I started a podcast, and Kyle knows we're in the same group. So I started a podcast just so that I can invite those CEOs to the podcast to talk
Smart.
about what they do. So I utilize the best thing that I can, which is helping them. But if I meet people in person, then it's easy, because all I'm doing is being very inquisitive,
Right.
staying curious about what it is that they're doing in their life. I don't care what they talk about. I am going to find that link to what it is that I like, so that we can have a good conversation. And
Exactly.
then from that point, my whole mission is to have a relationship. It is all about the relationship with that person. So yes, if I find out what that investor, sponsor, fund, the donor, if I find out what it is that they want to implement or impact in society, that's all I need to know. And if there's a match, there's a match. If not, I will continue to have that relationship, because I'm always going to meet someone
Right.
that will have an impact, especially in film. We have social impact, educational impact, cultural impact. On the film side, music is the soundtrack of our lives. So I always am running into the creative side, and it's just going to take my brain to like, oh, you're the right person for that, and
Right.
make that connection for them,
But that's
for
so
that impact.
true. You made a very good point. Like, if you can find someone that might know them, and that is like so true. I didn't even think about that, but that's like so true. Unfortunately, we're in a world where it's like you got to know somebody to know
Right.
somebody, and that's why it's never a bad thing to make all these connections. Like, even if someone does give you a no or they're indifferent, like you said, keep them on, because they might know somebody else. Like, I think
Absolutely.
back to my time at Queens, when I was doing admissions, it's like somebody might not need the education masters, but they might know somebody that does.
Right.
And because my interaction I had with them, and it's the same way too. So that's kind of one thing that I was sharing, is like, people remember how you make them feel. And
Yep.
so it is exhausting. I shared that too, but you almost have to always be on when you're at events like that, because you never know if, one, that person will come back around, or two, they know somebody they can refer you to. So,
Absolutely. No, like, and trust is in every business. It doesn't matter if it's us or,
that's right.
any business. No, like, and trust is what we're constantly told in our group.
Right.
So I've always had that. I've always been just like you, like a social person. In elementary school, my teachers were like, "She's a social butterfly. She won't shut up. She won't." So that was
Nothing
before
wrong with
they
that.
knew ADHD was a thing. I just was talking to everyone. And so that's just, it ended up working out, because I have conversations with so many people,
Right.
and that allows me also the superpower to take like deep dives and retain that information. And then someone in the future is going to ask me a question
Oh, yeah.
about like subatomic particles, and I'm going to remember, like,
Yeah.
oh, this, or religion, or like it could be anything, entertainment. I got so much exposure going
Oh,
on
yeah.
world tours that I really get a chance to have empathy towards
Sure.
what people go through. I'm the person on tour that once I finish my job, I'm going to be out in the streets. And they always warn us, like, don't eat street food. You can't do certain things because you will be sick. Everybody has a different gastro
Right.
system for their country.
Right.
And so I really did. I was the one. I was going to get sick. I was going to do I was going to do everything that I wanted to do, because who knows when that experience would end.
It sure.
So relationships came from there too.
Yeah,
Or,
of course. Yeah.
I'm gonna chime in really quickly. One thing that I learned just from this interaction and dialogue: authentic engagement is critical.
Yep.
Authentic engagement in anybody listening is critical to you creating a foundation and a relationship that's meaningful.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I could guarantee, if you all continue this conversation and
probably going for hours.
Probably.
and then there's a lot of opportunity for follow-up.
Yeah.
And then over time, there would be some type of engagement where one of you is giving time, talent, or treasure towards something.
Right.
And anybody listening, I wanted you to see this in real time. First, because I needed a little break. But then second, because authentic engagement is critical in developing relationships.
Mm-hmm.
it's not this book and this textbook, like how do I introduce myself or how do I actually get to know someone. The one word that's helped me cultivate and create powerful relationships that last is one word: curiosity.
Yeah.
I genuinely have to be curious and care about the other person's family.
Yeah.
I genuinely have to be curious and care about the other person's story.
Right.
I genuinely have to be curious and care about the other person's aspirations, desires, wants, and challenges. And I thank you so much, Summer, for indulging us and navigating that conversation. But Aneesah, I appreciate your desire to continue to share.
Yeah.
Aneesah, could you give us, if you had 60 seconds, just 60 seconds before we close, to provide encouragement, advice, or a word for those that are listening, what would be your word?
I would say that it's not just about the check. It's really about the impact that donor is willing to circulate his or their money in order to get that impact and alignment. Does that fit? Do we align? And if we don't align, do you align with someone I know so that I can impact that person? Because that's what I want to do. I want to impact and always put a smile on someone else's face. Um, so for me, it's not always about the check, but if I can get a check for someone else, I don't mind that. And the fact that I normally don't ask for referral fees or anything in a like impromptu situation, it's all the better. I get real friends from that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Anybody listening, I want you to take the nuggets that you've learned, the content that you've heard, and the wisdom that has been shared today, and don't just write it down. Be the person to apply it and practice it in your relationships, in your professional interactions, and in the work that you're doing to continue to cultivate and build your village and turn your prospects into partners who believe in your cause. Yep. Ladies, I just want to thank you so much for coming on, showing out, and being able to share not just with your head and your strategy, but with your heart. Because I believe if we lead with heart, we can truly be able to transform people that are listening. That gives them the power to go transform their audience as well. Thanks for tuning in to the Contagious Culture Podcast. If this episode challenged or inspired you, hey, take a second to share it with someone who's building culture in their world. Make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review. It helps more leaders, educators, and change makers just like yourself join the movement. You can connect with me on LinkedIn or YouTube at Kyle S. King for more tips, tools, and methodologies to be able to help you create this ecosystem of absolute excellence. Until next time, lead boldly, live intentionally, and remember, your culture is contagious. Make it worth catching.